Bannerlord can be a brutally hard game. Often you're outnumbered and massive armies march against you. Well, in this new series, we're going to work together, friends. What I want you to do is send me your difficult situations that you're either currently encountering in Bannerlord in your campaign, or something that you've dealt with in the past where you're just unable to solve it. I will do my very best to handle these difficult situations. I will share the results on YouTube, provided they have some kind of educational value for people. We will take on these difficult challenges, do some battlefield analysis, and hopefully help you turn around a very, very difficult battle. So join me on this adventure. Please send me your difficult situations. Have a little patience. I don't know how many there are going to be, but I'm willing to take these challenges on for you fellas as we handle your disasters of war. We'll end one episode and start a new one here. Welcome back, friends, again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. We remain dedicated to this Disasters of War series. Now, we have taken over another campaign from a player. This is a collaboration effort. You guys send me your difficult situations, difficult campaigns, whatever it might be, and we'll do our very best to help you in these situations. Now, let's do a brief recap here. We are helping a fella. This guy's name is Daniel. Beowulf is his main character. And his situation before we started was pretty dire. He was down to only Varcheg for his city. He was hemmed in by Sturgians. He was at war with the Khazate and the Valandians. Now he's all the same situations are still present. We're still paying a tribute to the Valandians and the Khazate. However, this is a nice change, right? The Khazate are sieging one of the Sturgian cities, so we have a little bit of help here. We're paying off the Khazate, meanwhile they're pounding the Sturgians. He did have a nice pile of money, right? That was one of the few things that was really going his way, and we've used that, right? The tribute payment, we've been paying for a large garrison at Varcheg and in our own army, and we devastated the Sturgian force before smashing a few other Sturgian forces, and we're moving towards Revel. We've been gathering troops. It's been essential, of course, at this stage to gather up an army because we're going to try to finish off the Sturgians in this part of the kingdom. I want this peninsula for Daniel. Daniel is going to have this peninsula where he can hide if necessary. There's only one access to this pass to that back area there, and that's really going to give him a strategic advantage as he moves forward in this campaign. Now, the Sturgians are probably busy, right? They're down here being sieged by Khazate. They have no other territory down here, and for the moment, we are free to commence a pounding to the Sturgians. Now, there's a huge defense force here, right? That's why we stopped and started an episode here. I knew this was going to be a gnarly episode. I've got to figure out what his siege skills are here, and this is actually a problem. A lot of players do this to their detriment. And again, we're being kind to everybody here. This guy was nice enough to put his campaign on the channel. He's got some really good perks here. He's a warrior, but he's really neglected his engineering. And that's going to be a problem in this campaign as he deals with other sieges, right? It's a critical skill at this stage of Bannerlord, especially because you are going to be doing a siege every other big battle. In other words, about half of your big battles from this stage on are going to be sieges, right? You're not going to be facing open field battles left and right. You're going to be doing a lot of sieges. Now, please go down there. Yeah, we just trapped these Sturgians. I think this little peninsula has only one way out. So the brilliant AI here to start this episode off has trapped themselves because it's critical that we destroy Sturgian assets up here. At some point or other, they're going to form an army and either attack Varcheg, attack us, or defend Omor. Before they do that, we're going to try to destroy as many of their assets as possible. Now, they got villagers running with the rest of their Sturgian troops here, and we're just going to corner these guys. Talked about this last episode. We made an attack dog division. This gal, Serena the Dispossessed, has a lot of cavalry. That means her army moves quickly. That means it's going to be able to corner these Sturgians and not let them escape. Now, I don't think they could escape anyways. They're all scurrying for safety, and I don't think there's anywhere for them to go. On top of that, of course, we're going to continue to go to these villages and demand that they give us all of their sons for war, right? Come with us. First, we'll recruit them. Second, we say, give us your recruits. And we're not asking, right? We'll kill all our villagers that resist. We'll get a few upgrades there. do some upgrades here. We're continuing to favor ranged units, and that is because we're going to engage in a siege. While you do need infantry for a siege, you also need a lot of ranged units, and you'll see why when we begin a siege. Every village, we're telling them, give us all your recruits. Even though they're just a little recruit with a hatchet, that's still a guy that we can put on the walls. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Where's that guy go? That's still a guy that we're going to be able to put on the walls, and he will effectively be part of that siege, even with his little hatchet. Takes a couple shots for the enemy to kill that guy, and it's going to help us. Now it's tempting to play this out because we're going to suffer quite a few losses if we auto-resolve. Let's see what the map looks like here first. We've been fighting probably more battles than I ordinarily would, and that is because, of course, if you auto-resolve battles like this, a lot of times you suffer way more casualties than if you were just to face it in real life. And Daniel's at a critical point of this campaign. He's at the point of the campaign where he can't afford 150 losses here in a battle, right? So I am going to play this out, I think, although it does look like the enemy is taking a pretty good defense location here. They're all trying to couch lance me, fuckers. Just trying to scout your force so that we can destroy it. Take it easy. And actually, the enemy's taking about as good an approach as they could possibly take here. So, just to speed it up, just to make sure this episode and this little Disasters of War series here for Daniel isn't 4 hours, we're going to just send troops. I hate doing this because we're probably going to suffer 100, maybe 125 casualties, but we'll go with it. 93 casualties. We did get 59 upgrades, but that's painful, right? At a stage where we only have 400 and something troops, to lose 33 killed, that's painful. The good news is we do get these prisoners. We do get a bunch of upgrades. This prisoner situation. We might need to dump some of these prisoners. We're getting a little overzealous with how many of these guys we're carrying. I think he had a bunch of elite prisoners. They recruit really slowly. So we're just going to dump a few of those guys here. We'll take the upgrades. We'll take the troops from that village, and we'll move on here. We'll take some cons guards. Oh, wait, I just dumped those. And we'll move on here. Get some nice goods. I think we already bought the shit from the village. We're not going to go harangue the villagers. We don't really want to kill the villagers because we're hoping this is our village, right? The last thing we want to do is burn down all these villages. Some guys would advocate burning all the villages, right? In fact, our dipshit nobles here think it's a good idea to declare war on the Khazate. I don't. I think that's a terrible idea, right? We're fucking occupied here. Whenever that vote comes up, I'm not going to... Actually, we'll just trigger it. Shut the fuck up. We're not having war, you dipshit. Go done. You go fight them, you dumbass. Unfortunately, you have to spend influence, basically, to override your stupid nobles. It's part of the game. We're not having peace with the Sturgians, either. At this stage, you're a despot, right? You're a tyrant. You're basically telling your guys what's up. We've got enough influence to do that. Plus, they're stupid, right? They're doing dumb shit. Now, we want to trap more of these nobles, so let's go ahead and activate our little attack dog division. There's a couple ways this works. First, she moves faster than them. So if there's a target she can attack, she will engage it. Second, it works wonderfully as bait, right? These divisions of Sturgians, they're looking at her. They're not real bright, but they move in fast, and they're like, hey, we've got a target of opportunity here. They will attack her. Now, they're kind of heading, see what's going on here, following Nadea party. Let's at least corner this guy. This guy cornered himself. We'll cut off his retreat here. We will call her towards us. And this guy should not be able to make it into the city. This is another Sturgian force here we're going to be able to capture, I think. It's going to be close. She might attack the smaller of the two forces, but this is just a basic strategy, right? We're just cleaning up all the Sturgian trash here to make sure they can't get into the city to defend. She's fast because she's got lots of cavalry. We're going to be able to chase down these Sturgian units. Now, I bet this guy has an engineer. I didn't think about that. He does. He has an engineer, but it's still not very good skill. I would recommend you guys try to have at least one companion that has in the neighborhood of what's a good minimum, 150 to 200 siege skill. Otherwise, you're going to have difficulty in siege, and we will probably experience that here. Now, that didn't really work. The fastest guy got away there. But the general principle, concept is still the same. We're going to corner this guy here, right? The AI is dumb enough to let us corner their units. We will take advantage of that. We're also going to hit the other village and do the same process, right? Give us your troops. We need them to siege this city. Like I said, it's not it's not an automatic thing that we're going to be able to siege it, but if we're going to succeed, we're going to need every single recruit with an axe on the wall. Now, we're going to be able to corner this guy. We're destroying Sturgian resources here, but the main reason I'm doing this is we need troops to siege this city here, right? So we're going to continue to go from village to village to village. I'll probably go to the other one and say, give us all your troops, right? First you recruit, then you tell them, give us your fucking recruits. They like to resist. Let me retreat and show you a concept here that a lot of players don't know. Villages that are never raided build up hearths. I guess it's, that's an old word for chimney. Basically, that means there's more and more chimneys being built. The longer the people aren't attacked, they make babies, they make hearths. That means they're going to have more resources that they deliver to the city, and they're going to have more militia to defend when you attack. Now, it doesn't really stop us or slow us down here. In fact, you know what? I'll take a few of you bitch-ass archers and make you fight for us. It doesn't really, from that perspective, doesn't really matter. But the benefit for you is to not raid this. That way, they're delivering all that food once they become our serfs, right? These are serfs, effectively, the medieval era serfs, or you could just consider them, sharecroppers or the people that would till the fields. We're going to corner this guy quick. It's just too obvious an opportunity. We don't even need our attack dog division, I think. Now, we are wasting some time here, and that's disconcerting, because at any point, Varcheg could be besieged. But we've got our nice little satellite. We can instantly get real-time data. This shouldn't be a thing. It's just part of the game mechanics. But we can simply glance across the horizon like we're Gandalf and say, okay, there's 328 defenders. They're going to be just fine there at Varcheg. They're actually starting to go positive for food here. Again, we'll auto-resolve probably 13 deaths, but 29 upgrades. That's a net benefit for us. But more importantly, come with us, you dipshit. Another one of their nobles. We take a few militia here. We'll take all the free troops we can get at this stage. And now it's time to decide which location we're going to attack, right? It's either Ustakal or it's the main city. Now, there was 890 or something like that defenders at the main city. That's a problem, right? That's going to be very difficult to deal with. Now, no reason not to hit this village on the way out of here. We are going to tell our companion, get back here, right? Well, the last thing we need is her getting killed. Now, Savannah's over here. Is this his wife? Okay. No, but she's in our clan. We would love for these armies to become recruitable, but it's going to be it's going to be very hard for them to get to us. Never mind. These dipshits are captured. You can't count on your AI units. That's why you want to call them to you early in a campaign. 3, 2, you're going to see orange down here, right? Almost certainly. It's just kind of like a matter of time. It's inevitable. Now, you can't tell them to give you recruits right after you did it. It basically simulates that there's no dudes there. I think it's probably worth it to go to the other one. Now, it doesn't say where Savannah and them are. But what's happening right now is they're getting zerged. They're down here fighting Sturgians. Maybe they're trying to defend Cranarog. I didn't see the message, if that's the case. Of course, now the Sturgians are begging us for peace. That shit ain't happening. Let's examine Varcheg here before we see our dipshit nobles captured. I'm just prognosticating the future here. Very good at it. We are now very good situation here. The garrison is growing, right? There's 277 defenders. The food situation is good. We dumped off a lot of food there. That's going to be able to withstand a siege for weeks, like 10 or 15 game days, unless it's a huge force, which the Sturgians don't have. So we're in good situation there. Now, I have to decide, do you siege Revel here with 1,000 defenders, or do you siege this castle? This castle has 700 defenders, and Daniel did mention that. He said that was something he was having a hard time with. I think, believe it or not, we're going to siege the main city, even though it has twice as many troops defending it than we have for the attack. Normally, that's not a thing. I would not recommend that. In fact, I'll say this, the old, don't try this at home, right? We can't do that. Give us your troops, right? Fucking punk-ass villagers. Again, if I was trying to be a perfectionist, we'd fight out every single one of these battles. Because we'd be able to get every single archer to stick an arrow in the face of a militiaman. All of those guys will upgrade, but I don't want to waste your time with stuff like that for this. I think we're going to be able to succeed without taking every single step to try to improve our chances here. All right, so I think we'll take all of this shit except the expensive horse. We're trying to be, you know, fiscally diligent, even though he's got a pile of money. That's a very good strategic point. Before you guys go independent out there, unless you have extraordinary tactical skill, I would recommend you have 2 or 3 fiefs and at least 1,000,000 gold or dinars. It seems like Daniel did probably have 1,000,000 dinars, right? And he's been slowly hemorrhaging. And this is a necessary part of the game. If we went up and just tore up our peace treaties right now with Khazate and Valandia, we would be fucked, right? They would instantly siege Varcheg and we would lose. None of these units we're going to be able to catch. We kind of want them to fuck off. We don't really want them defending, right? There's already 800 defenders. We've got almost 500 now. Shit, we're going to get deserters. Make sure you don't get deserters, right? You want to spread your troops out here. All these little recruits, I just instantly dump them onto our other vassals, right? You want to have your vassals maxed out here because if we could get maybe even 550 or 600, we're going to have a much better chance of success. Now this is where the siege skill is going to be a little bit glaring. It's going to be difficult to siege down this city. We could starve it, but look at their food stocks, right? You see that number in parentheses, 683. It's going to take a long time to do that, especially because they have very productive villages, and so they've dumped a lot of food into the city. Now, we're not about to siege it while it's maxed out for defenders, right? You don't have to do that. Just wait for them to leave. They're dumb enough to leave right in the midst of us coming towards them. Now is going to be our time to siege. 948 defenders. They've got a couple little minor clans that are participating there, but with some skill, with some pertinacity here, I think we can still take this city down, right? We've got a better army than them. If we had a weaker army than them, we could not win this siege. A couple other keys. We have plenty of food. We have 65 days of food, that's kind of ridiculous. It's like they had MRATs way back then, some kind of dried fruit and shit like that. I don't think you get that much food out of it. We're going to, let's see, her shoot probably doesn't matter. I don't know if it stacks, but we're going to siege this city despite the fact that there's twice as many defenders as attackers. Now, this process is very important for new players to understand. There's a couple things that are critical here. First, Revel, that's us. Omar is being assaulted. This is good, right? The Khazate are just pounding the other Sturgeon process. So the Sturgeons are in worse shape than we are here, right? Even though, and we would love to be attacked here. That would be a great thing because the garrison would sally out and that would reduce the defense. So anybody wondering, aren't you worried about being attacked? Absolutely not. I'd be thrilled to be attacked here. Now, obviously, one of the things that helps us be no fear in this situation is we're superior tactically to our opponent. We'll smash any kind of an attack. So we've got a lot of food. The Sturgeons are busy. And we're going to methodically take this city down. That means, most importantly, destroying these siege weapons. Inside a city, the enemy defenders build siege weapons, and before you even get your siege camp built, they already have the maximum: catapult, fire ballista. If we tried to siege this, if we just went straight to building, like a lot of players, oh, let's just build a ram, a siege tower, we win. Now, we would get obliterated. They would destroy our siege tower. They might even destroy our ram, but certainly we would not have a siege tower. We would be down to ladders and a siege ram, and this would not be a successful victory. They would grind us down on the siege ladders, and we would have no chance of winning. We're going to build siege weapons. Now, we're going to build all trebuchets here in order like that. Doesn't really need to be in that chronological order, but a lot of players don't know this process here. You must put them in reserve, right? So they're building, that little yellow line gets bigger. We'll speed it up here. I'm kind of keeping an eye to see if Varcheg gets sieged, but at this point we're gonna commit to this, the investing of this siege, even if Varcheg gets sieged. What you want to do with these, your guys are down there with their little hammer and their saw, they're building these trebuchets, is you want to put these in reserve right away. Now, we can't do it right yet. It says cancel. Once they're built, and of course, a lot of players know this. I'm covering this for guys like Daniel, might not know it, and certainly other players don't know this. Move to reserve. I did it quickly because all their siege weapons are now trying to pound it, right? Of course, it's gone, and it's a little bit of a wonky system, but what the system's essentially saying is that you built it and then you moved it out of range of the enemy's weapons. The tutorials doesn't do a very good job of explaining this, right? And so you're kind of left to go into channels like ours to learning this stuff. If you just leave it up, the enemy siege will mangle it because it's 4-on-1, right? It's a ballista, a couple siege weapons, and your shit gets pounded. Now, after they're built, in other words, in order, and the number there means what order they're being built, right? So this siege ram, then the tower, Once this one is most of the way to build, we will activate them all at the same time. So the enemy's trying to pound us with their siege weapons, and this simulates that your guys are furiously working with their little hammer and saw, building these siege weapons, and then you're pulling them away from the city. Now that this one is almost built, this little bar here, they're not being rebuilt. It's basically, it should say, would you like to push your siege weapons towards the city or something like that? Again, the terminology is a little wonky. And what happens now is once this one is built, all 4 of our siege weapons are now firing at the enemy, trying to destroy them. Now, trebuchets are key. You don't want to build catapults or the other things here because trebuchets one-shot catapults, and that's what we need. They've already destroyed 3. Let me pause it right here. They're being rebuilt, but at this very moment, if we were to siege, of course, we don't have a ram. Let's say we had a ram. We would enter this city defense. The enemy would only have a catapult and nothing else, right? This would be an opportune moment to do this. Now, you can't build fire catapults unless you have 150 siege skill. You go down here, siege engineer. It doesn't matter which skill you choose. At the bottom one there, fire versions of the siege engines can be constructed. Daniel lacks this skill, so we can't build fire catapults, which are incredibly important to a campaign. So we do have his engineer. His engineer was something, this guy, the knowing, and he is working on his engineer skill. So Daniel's at least aware that he wants a good engineer. We have him assigned as the captain. You go to this screen here. He is assigned, right? He is the engineer. But he's going to gain skill a lot slower than if your main character had those points in there. That's just a point I'm trying to make here. Daniel's going to have a harder time with siege than other people out there. Not beating on Daniel. I appreciate you submitting your save game here. We're trying to help other people. And of course, we're trying to help you too. Now, the enemy rebuilds their siege, right? And they do it quickly. It's based on the number of defenders in there. You can picture all these enemy forces scurrying along the walls, trying to get their siege weapons rebuilt. We can't attack until we have a ram and a siege tower, or at least it's not advisable. This is not advisable, right? Having 500 attackers against 900 is not a good decision most of the time. Now, we're not going to try to destroy the walls. What I want to do here is get this siege tower built, so it's going to be tomorrow morning at least before it's built. And most importantly, when we engage, it says lead and assault. When we click that button, we want to make sure the enemy has no catapults, 0. If they have a ballista, we'll deal with it, but it's essential that we destroy these fire catapults. Let me rephrase it this way. I will not begin this siege if they have fire catapults. Now, they're attacking the wall like dipshits here, even though there's catapults built. Once these 2 catapults are down and that siege tower is down, I will pause the game, and then we will upgrade units and whatnot before we begin our siege. Now, they were missing there for a bit. That's a function of your siege skill. If you guys have poor siege skill, it's basically like you've got a bunch of inept dipshits on the catapults that don't know how to aim them, and they're hitting, houses and killing poor villagers that are just trying to, make some milk and shit for the troops. Now is the time we pause, right? And I did this by instinct, by just hundreds of hours of experience. You have this ability just to freeze time here. We're going to launch an assault, but look at what the enemy has. This catapult is not injured, it's being built, right? If I unpause it, you can see the number going up there. They have no siege weapons, no counter siege weapons. We have 4 trebuchets, a siege tower, and a ram. This siege is now maybe doable. I say maybe because it's still going to be a grinding, difficult siege. We're going to have to use tactics here. We're going to have to use our head. And for most players, this is still not an obtainable siege. They would not be able to succeed. We're going to try to show you tactics today that'll increase your ability to win difficult siege assaults. And make no mistake, right? This is a very difficult siege assault. Now, Daniel's making some javelins, some really high-end javelins here, but he doesn't have enough to arm our troops. In this kind of a situation, you want all of your guys here to have throwing weapons. This guy right here, the siege starts, he just stands there. He can't throw a weapon at all. In siege, it's so critical to have as many units as possible, the ability to kill at range. He's got a bunch of his units do, right? He's got archers and whatnot, but he does have some other units that don't have ranged weapons. That's just one more way you can improve your chances here. Now, hardest difficulty, he does have death and stuff like that lowered a little bit. We actually increased the AI difficulty basically to Bannerlord. I'm not going to fuck with the other setting because we don't really want to kill your companions. In fact, I might save scum under those circumstances, right? If I kill this dude's wife or something like that in this siege, we will simply reload the save game. And I'll tell you if that kind of stuff happens. All right. I know I'm taking a long time with this. But I like to have this kind of granular detail because there's a lot of nuggets that I know and I sort of presume other people know, but they may not, right? And we want to be a full service channel here. I'm not going to do all the meta stuff that guys like Strat Gaming Guide cover, but we're going to try to make you guys siege experts. All right, let's get into strategy. My favorite part here, tactics and strategy. This city is a unique city in the fact that there are 2 different entrances on the right here, as we view it the right. You can just barely make out the siege ladders there. You control where those siege ladders are. We control this siege tower. Just go like that. And then as soon as I put it over here where there's a little thing where it's blank, I put it here. See, it says 1. We have 1. Those siege ladders now go over here. I don't actually want to do that. I was just showing you you have that ability to move it. I want the siege ladder over here, or siege tower over here, because we're going to try to make a hard press from the enemies from our right, gain access to the walls, and then plow through the city once we've gained a puncture to the city. Now let's talk about unit assignment. It's important that you leave these units on here. We're going to do some micromanaging of his troops in this siege, right? Where you're going to use all 8 divisions, in fact. Now he's got a real dearth of archers here. There's 1,000 units on the battlefield at the same time. That's the current settings we have. We have 176 infantry and 73 archers. That's not very good, right? That means we're going to get reinforcements, and we're going to have to wait for those reinforcements because these fucking dipshits start back here. We're going to have to wait. They're going to get pounded with bows and arrows the whole way. I guess they won't get pounded with bows. They would have to like throw them through the air or something. But we're going to get attacked as those reinforcements come to us. And when that happens, we're probably going to be getting pressured on the walls. Now let's talk about assignment to different siege weapons. So the point of that is we need more archers in this, Daniel. That's why we're trying to recruit more. We are going to have some skirmishers here. We are going to change a few of these divisions because I want 1 through 4 being all infantry. We'll assign the captains here in a moment. And for a siege like this, where you're outnumbered this bad, it is essential that you have the right guys in the right spots. Now, what we're going to do here is actually assign the guys to the siege towers in the spots where we want them, right? This 3rd division is assigned to the siege tower. Now, it doesn't have to be. Say you're leading the 1st division and you want to lead that siege tower. All you do is select your division. See the little blue gears come up? Your guys are now behind that ram, or behind that siege tower in this case. Now, if you do that and you take the guys off the ram, they will push this ram. This is a very important point. They will push that ram to the door. It will break the outer door, but they will not go attack the inner door. You want to leave a contingent on the ram for this siege. So in this case, we're going to take this 3rd division. I don't need that many guys to be on there. I just want a little bit of pressure, and we'll stick them on the ram. They get stuck in behind here, and away they go. Now I'm going to give these guys shields because I want them protected from arrows as they approach. The enemy has no siege weapons here, right? That's a critical factor. They're not going to be able to stop us from getting our siege tower or ram to the doors. That's why we destroyed it pre-battle. That's the whole reason you're doing that. Now, I don't mind if these are lower level troops. In fact, I'm going to do that. I can click this little button. They still have shields, but now there's some weaker troops in that division. That is because I want the 1st division to be led by Daniel. He's going to be on the tower. And I want these guys to be our best troops and have shields. They're going over the walls, right? I need those guys to be able to handle all that carnage going over the walls. Now, the ladders, you can't really tell, but the 4th division here is assigned to the ladders. They're kind of standing right here. You can actually click the ladders. It's hard to see, but the little blue thing there, those guys are now assigned to the ladders. It's not as obvious. Like, it should put a little ladder thing here somewhere, you know, going to the ladders. That leaves the 2nd division, and that's purposeful. These guys are going to be an attack division, and we're going to use them to repel defenders on the wall. We're going to do that on the same side. It's interesting. There are archers mixed in here. Oh, shit, it's an archer division. That's why. We're going to change these to skirmishers, and we're going to say shields and javelins, because with the Sturgians, that's typically going to be your javelin units, right? So now, when you zoom in here, there's wildlings, there's brigands and stuff like that. We're going to use these guys, but we're also going to tell them to hold fire because we want them throwing their javelins at the opportune time. So the 1st division, elite troops on the siege tower. The 3rd division, weaker troops, just getting that ram to the door and pressuring it. The 4th division, a competent division, going to the siege ladders. They're going to be getting attacked a lot, right? So these two sides here are going to be critical. We want to support them with these archers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're just going to spread these guys out and move them forward. Now you can let the AI do it and they'll use those little cover areas, but it'll also put archers way over here. I want them all focused right here, because in order to blast our way through this city, we must be tactical here, right? We must, it's effectively the open field battle equivalent. Let's see, this guy is actually optimal for that 3rd division. You want to put right captains on here. I'm getting distracted here. It's the equivalent of Frederick the Great's oblique order in a battle. You overload one side and then sweep through the enemy flanks on the side that you've had a puncture. We're going to try hard right here. All right, so captain's next, right? Let's start getting these guys assigned. Nice big long perk list, right? Love it. You want to have guys that align with your division. So this guy's a crossbow guy, right? Increased troop movement speed we don't care about. That's not the right banner for him. But at least he gets a big long list of perks. And we'll just kind of go through here. You got no perks, you get chucked into a reserve position. This gal here, decreased taken melee attack damage. Perfect, right? Let's stick her on one of these infantry divisions. Increased range damage, archer, increased range damage, archer. I think you guys get this general concept here. Very important that you assign guys to these divisions. Now the 2nd division, I actually want this guy. This guy's got some throwing skill. Decreased taken ranged attack damage. We'll put him in the 2nd division because they're going to be getting shot. I'm going to pull these skirmishers right here to the base of the enemy, and they're going to be involved very early on in this battle. So let's recap this really quick. 1st division, siege tower. 2nd division is manually controlled skirmishers, and we're going to put them spread to start, and then as we get close, we will put them in a shield wall. 3rd division, ram. 4th division, ladders, right? Then we're going to move our archers up and micromanage all that. I know it seems like a lot, but it's not. Trust me. I think I just pulled the 4th off of their duty. I did. So let's reassign them. I think that'll work. We may have to change that once the battle starts. All right. Now the enemy has no siege weapons, so I fear nothing at range here until we get close and their archers become a problem, right? So I'm pulling the 2nd, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th all up with me. Now we're going to start putting these guys close. I want archers right up here in the face of the enemy. I want them shooting immediately, right? As the enemy brings archers up here and tries to counter it, I want our archers basically to overwhelm the enemy here. Now we're going to be throwing javelins, right? We're also going to be bringing our javelin units up here to absorb damage. So that's the 6th, 7th, and 8th, saying that for your sake and my sake, hold up there. The 2nd division is coming as well, and they are on hold fire. Now here come our ladder boys. Good job, boys. Get up there. We want the enemy pressured over here, and we're going to give these guys just a few archers. Just kind of spread them out. Again, it's hard to see without the RTS mod. Daniel's playing like this, though, and we're going to honor that. All right, so up those guys go. They're going to take a beating, but they're pressuring the enemy, and that's going to help, right? They've got some good archers there, some being champs even. Meanwhile, we have 4 divisions over here. Now, the rest of the divisions are still coming. Our siege ladder is a long ways away. So in the near term, I want our archers pounding the enemy, and I'm going to shield wall our skirmishers. Now, they're not throwing javelins. It takes a lot of discipline. These guys are being shot at, and they're basically telling them, do not counter. Do not try to shoot the enemy. That is because I'm saving it for when the enemy has a lot more troops on the wall. At some point or other, the enemy is going to have piles of troops on the wall. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit, and we'll do a little bit of killing ourselves. They're killing our guys, right? They're killing our archers slowly. This early stage, we're just trying to hold back the enemy while we bring the siege tower up. Right now, your job, of course, Daniel, anybody else in this position, obviously, is to throw as many javelins through the eyeballs of these little militia as you can. Right? We're also going to pick up spare javelins, of course, simply because we have the time to do so. It's going to take a while for that siege tower to get here. You have the luxury of time, and at the same time, our archers are getting shot, right? It's not a good feeling. Now, we need to obtain at least a 2-to-1 kill ratio. So far, so good. This is the easy part, though, right? When the infantry comes, we're going to have problems. Now, these guys, for some reason, are not doing their job. Pretty sure I did say to get up there, boys. We're actually going to help them here. Sometimes the AI just doesn't put both ladders up, right? They're just stupid about it. Let's help them here, right? And some of these guys here should get to this ladder. We're going to help them here. Just blow a few of these guys off the walls. But we're still going to make our majority press back at the other location. We're simply doing this because we have the time to do so. Daniel's got really good throwing skill. We're helping our guys make a puncture here. Hopefully my horse doesn't run away. And we're helping that kill ratio, right? Little fucking archers trying to shoot us. Fucking assholes. Kill them. Oh shit. Don't want to do that. I don't need 2 shields. Let's see. I think it'll be alright. Alright, they're going up there. The Rams going to the gate, right? So the enemy has to put defenders at the gate. Meanwhile, our siege tower, which is going to survive, right? You see the health there. 100% it's going to survive. Now we tell our skirmishers, shoot. The enemy brings over a bunch of militia, and now it's time for them to be pounded by all our skirmishers, right? In fact, some dipshit looking the wrong way. That guy just simulated 9/11. And their forces are getting pounded on the wall. That's why you're holding back with those skirmishers. Now, there's troops that are pushing around, right? There are troops that are basically with all these troops here. We're going to let them lead the way, and our skirmishers are coming after them. I'm almost out of javelins here. We're going to pick up as many as we can from the ground here, but we're also sending this 2nd Division charge. Whoops. They're going the wrong way. Let's redirect them here to this siege tower. The 4th Division, also 1st Division, can be told to charge, right? And if they go the wrong way, send them up the siege tower. Click those little gears, and they should go up the siege tower. All right, we're going to get as many javelins as we can because this siege is hardly won. And our guys they aim like shit. These guys are aiming like they drank a 40 and then tried to pee at a urinal. Guys are peeing all over the walls. Now, our archers have taken a beating at this stage. I've played so many battles in Bannerlord, I know that sound. The ram just blew up, right? So, pick up this little, try to finesse this little bag of javelins here. Actually dump our shield, I think. There it goes. And we can pick up even more javelins, and we're going behind our men here, right? Our men are going up the siege tower, but we're also going to take some of these archers with us, right? We want at least a couple divisions of archers with us. I think the 8th is with us here as well, so we'll just drag all the archers up here, right? We're basically going to make a full concerted effort at this location. Now, what's our kill ratio? It's close, right? 200 to 100, right? This siege is anything but over, right? So we're going to have to make a hard press through the city here. Now, we've got a full health bar, so Daniel is about to get busy. He's got 2-handed weapon skill. Now here we want to be methodical. Right? Guards are charging down there. That's good, but we also want to stick archers down here in the courtyard. We're going to break out the old 2-handed weapon here and start cutting a path through these enemy forces. Always nice to get behind the enemy in this kind of a situation and just plow a hole. Prioritize ranged units, right? These archers that are going to be trying to stop our troops, mow them down first. Do not let the enemy regain this siege tower. That's critical numero uno. What I mean by the siege tower is the access to it. We're not going to let the enemy here stop our troops from getting up the wall. Now, it looks bad, the power bar looks bad, and we are suffering losses, but don't forget, we are going to get reinforcements. So our job is basically to hold a puncture here on some level. In fact, let's get this 2nd Division leading the way down here while the archers get here. The archers are going to take a little while because they're climbing the siege tower. The other division is attacking, right? And that's good. We want these guys attacking. It's crimping in on the enemy. The biggest key here is just keeping them busy, not letting them regain access to that siege tower spot, right? As long as our archers and reinforcements can make it up here, we've got the enemy in a really bad spot here. Now, we're hugely outnumbered, right? So we have to have them in a bad spot here. If all of a sudden they get a bunch of reinforcements and it just blitzes one of our flanks, we are fucked. That said, Daniel has a beast character here, and we're gonna drive him like he's a Ferrari, the Ferrari that he is, right? This guy's got an absolute beast. He's got a custom Falx or some kind of shit like that, and with the experience we have here, it's just a butchering. Kill half this fucking army itself. Break out the old 1-handed weapon because that's what it's for, right? Moments like this. Heck, we got some javelins for your bitch asses. Now, what I'm waiting for is reinforcements. We're going to get reinforcements here, right? I don't remember exactly how many troops we started with. 500, give or take? This guy fucking... guard that one. I'm a little bit quiet right now because I'm awaiting my reinforcements and I don't see them. Now your archers are down there firing away, right? And the enemy's trying to get to the wall still. They're trying to resist. We've switched to more defense here because we're down to about half health. But look at all these troops now in the courtyard. The enemy's starting to rout. I don't care. Now we've got a lot of troops down here. We've got a lot of skirmishers. Let's just push these guys forward. Skirmishers are almost certainly out of ammo. In fact, they're full of arrows is what they are. They've been hit by so many javelins. Now we want to blast those guys on the walls, right? So let's bring these archers. Oh, look at this. Let's wait. Ordinarily, I'd push forward. No reason to, right? The enemy is now essentially defending. And what I mean by that is that we have the enemy in a position where they have to attack. I mean that because if they don't attack us, these reinforcements here are coming. 47 archers, right? In fact, let's split them so we have even more micromanagement control. We'll stick some on the wall up here. The 2nd Division, they're just holding up their shields. Good job, dudes. Play defense. This division is in a square. Let's bring the bulk of the 5th. Archers down in the courtyard. And now what's happening is basically we have reversed the roles on the enemy. They are now practically sieging our castle. We have the walls, and they're desperately trying to get control of the walls. Well, they're not gonna. Right? We have infantry in front of them. Good infantry boring in on them now. We've got archers starting to push a puncture here. The enchants are starting to roll. We're getting our reinforcements up here. That's the key, right? Those guys, you can actually see those little white bubbles right there. That's our troops coming down here, getting in the courtyard. And put some on the wall up there, right? That way they can scorch the enemy on their own walls. The enemy's being blasted off their own walls. Let's get in here and use Daniel's Ferrari and just cut through the enemy ranks. Right, let's just get crazy here. Bob Ross, the painter, would say, let's get crazy. We're distracting the shit out of the enemy. We're also going to pull the 2nd Division to us, right? Just bring that vanguard of skirmishers. And, of course, reset these units up before this battle started so we know what we have. Enemies vigorously defending here. A little bunch of bull-cut militia. Of course, all of a sudden they're Jet Li and just parry every single blow. Ain't going to save them. They're not doing hardly any damage. Now here, I'm going to push that 1st Division forward in a shield wall. Well, all right, it's time to shift to defense. Now this fucker here. Now, it is close. We're going to charge with some archer divisions. That 1st Division we can charge with. Now, we just got reinforcements in the 3rd Division, and I want them coming to where we are. I don't want them going through the gate, right? You want to make your effort, your concerted effort, at the same location. So, I'm going to bring these guys up to this side, but I'm looking at the power bar. The enemy's badly cooked in this position. We've got archers here. I've got support. Keep chasing me, you bitch ass. Bitch ass Sturgians. Now, you don't want to drop here. It's essential that I don't get dropped here because the AI will take over. Now, what's the AI going to do? Well, dipshit stuff, of course. Yeah, I see you there, bowl-cut fucking woodrunner. The AI will start trying to go through the main gate and other highly disadvantageous processes, right? You want to continue to use your gap here, use your advantage. Now, our reinforcements are still coming, right? I'm very close to dying. In fact, I gotta be careful. Daniel's full of fucking javelins and shit like that. Go, baby, go. Here comes the help. Attaboy. Oh, fucking pursue me, motherfucker. All you bitches can have a javelin. I got 6 more for your faces. Oh, shit. And let's see what happens now, right? This is going to be interesting. Fortunately, I was able to position these guys advantageously. Now, I can speed it up, right? We can do this, but this is victory right here. 208 left before Daniel made his valiant fall. 80 defenders. There's like 4 little fucking woodrunners and archers defending here. Those guys are going to get loosed. We can speed this up, and this siege assault is over. A city of almost 900, was almost 900 defenders, and we turned it into a Sturgian graveyard here, right? Using tactics, having a concerted plan before the battle started. A lot of guys see it and they're like, damn, that's so much micromanagement. Go ahead, F1, F3. Just understand you can never win a battle like this with F1, F3. You can't win with the sergeants in charge. You cannot win with a mediocre amount of tactics. In order to commit this kind of genocide on your enemy, to this kind of glorious victory, right, where all your stupid-looking bowl cut, to see that jubilant look in this Jesus-looking guy's eyes, it's worth it, right? You gain glory, you gain valor, but most importantly here, all this influence, look at him run, right? Most importantly, we're going to be able to continue this adventure, right, this campaign. If you have 12 recruits or 12 guys left after here, you're in deep shit, right? You're probably going to get sieged, and you certainly don't have enough resources to continue this campaign. We've got 170 guys left. Now, a lot of them are injured, right? But we're not immediately in any danger. We're now in our brand new city. I should probably stop taking all these prisoners. They're just going to escape. But again, just to emphasize, not only is that a lot of success for your campaign, fellas, but that's how you're going to have the most fun, I think, in Bannerlord, is having a very difficult task, a very, very difficult challenge, and coming up with a plan where you use your noggin, where you come up with like a devious, savage plan and just blow the enemy out of the water, right? Where you just use that brain as well as your brawn, right? All right, well, we've got more banners here, a bunch of loot. Of course, we can't sack the city. We wouldn't want to sack the city. Now we have 2 cities to go immediately, get as many troops as possible. We'll just leave all these guys. We'll just put all these guys right in the dungeon. Ordinarily, you might sell these to the ransom broker, but Daniel definitely needs money here, right? So we're just going to stick some of these guys in the prison, recruit as many troops as we can. We're a little tiny bit vulnerable, but only to a big force. It's not like a force of 100 can take us out at this stage. And it's time for the next step, right? The next step is probably Methodical Castle. I'm just lancing here to see if there's any gear that we can't let slip by. We're going to make sure that there's food here. Of course, we knew there was food here because the city was full of food when we sieged. That's a good thing, right? That's going to help us establish this city. We'll talk a little bit about making sure this city stays loyal. We actually... the same thing we did at the other location. I think we did it. Eventually, we'll put some food in the garrison here, right? In the stash, because there's a pretty good chance at some point or other this place gets sieged. And the more food you just have stashed all over the place, the better, right? You got to basically pretend you're a squirrel, you're a scatter hoarder, and you're just running around the map of Calradia the whole time doing your very best. I don't know. Some of the shit I probably don't want to sell, right? Daniel probably doesn't want me to sell his smithing shit, so we'll just kind of go through here. I don't want to be badly encumbered by all this shit, and the money is necessary, right? We are hemorrhaging money. I mentioned it before. This is absolutely the best way to make money in Bannerlord. You can grind it out with smithing, but if you just smash your way to victory and win battles you're not supposed to and accumulate just huge heaps of loot, you'll then be able to go into your store and say, hey, I've got a bunch of cracked wooden hammers, right? You guys are interested? I've got some splintered barbed arrows, whatever that means. You guys want to buy all this shit, right? And you just go and you just dump all this shit on the table. They're like, thank you very much, sir. We really wanted all those ripped, belted tunics. Thank you so much. Take all of our gold. And then you guys go out in real life and you're like, damn, life is much harder than Bannerlord. All right. That's about good enough. We don't need to get it down to the last penny. The city's got a lot of resources here to recover its food situation. We get a huge chunk of gold. Of course, we're going to keep doing that. I mention it, but Revel, look at the prosperity. Revel has enormous prosperity. That means this is going to be a money maker. 3,000 a day this place is making. Now it's going to go down in the short term because we battered the food situation. We killed troops here. That's not good in the short term. Again, we will stick. I think, yeah. This looks like a good person. We will stick a governor here just so that it gets small bonuses. She helps with militia and stuff like that. You can put a little bit of gold if it needs to upgrade, but actually, this is part of the reason it's prosperous. Every single building is maxed. Now we get another autosave here. I'm going to try to capture this bitch-ass guy. In fact, guess where he's going, right? Right down in the same automatic death area. The owner of Revel is us, bitches. Yeah, it goes to us. 100% of the time, shut the fuck up, Godin. Keep asking for peace, and we'll kick you down the stairs the next castle we take. And that's the next step, right? It's not killing Godin, don't worry. Is taking Methodical Castle, right? Once we secure that, we will have this whole peninsula. It will be ours, and actually, Sturgia will be eliminated. We're getting more policies. I don't give a shit about that. I guess maybe some people do. But Sturgia is very much on death's door. Now, the problem with that is that means Methodical Castle is going to have a lot of troops, right? They're going to have a lot of defenders. There are some things we can do about that in the short term, but we just sieged a city down that had, 900 troops, right? So once we regroup our army a little bit here, once we get some villages and tell them, give us your sons. Look at the villagers. I think they attacked the villagers there. Those are our villagers. We'll help these guys out. We're immediately improving relations with these villagers. They're like, this guy's awesome, man. He just instantly kills our raiders. They're going to be happy. The relations should go up. And then we get even more recruits when we go here. Ironically, you get more troops when it's not yours, right? Because you just tell them, give us your troops, right? In fact, we could go back over to these locations and tell those places, give us all your troops. All the meanwhile, Varcheg has not been sieged, right? And it's very slowly consolidating its gains. And it is very slowly. You can see the militia. You can see the garrison, +1. It's very slow. It's going to take weeks before there's a sizable defense force there, but it's not being attacked. We're clearly close enough to help it, right? We could help it easily if it was being sieged. And now we have these two other armies we can call to us. And we're going to do that because that's the last step here to getting Daniel set here. We're going to smash Methodical Castle. I don't know if we should do that this episode. I spent a lot of time on that siege. We're definitely going to go to this village here. I think what we'll do is we'll wait for these other nobles to get to us. This is another good example of a village. You see the hearths, 675. This is so valuable to a player because almost every time we go here, and even if you come here like once a week, September 9, come back, or summer 9, there's 500 grain here, right? That's hugely important to building up the food stocks to Revel. Incidentally, that's why Revel has such high prosperity, because basically the villages are successful. So the villages are carrying giant bags and wagons stuffed full of gear every single time they come to the city, right? There is a little sort of crude economic system that goes along with the game, right? These little villagers run back and forth. They take their fish and whatnot, and they take it to the cities. And when they do, if there's too much food, once it gets over usually 700, the prosperity starts going up, which basically simulates more people. All right, now I went that way to make sure that these nobles weren't chasing a couple armies of Sturgians. If they were, I was going to make sure we smashed them first before we headed here to Methodical Castle. Methodical Castle is next. And I think what we're going to do here is this same process. We're going to break this up one more time here. This might even be 4 episodes. I like these slightly more truncated episodes. The first episode I went and looked, it was 1 hour and 10 minutes. I'm trying not to do that to you fellas. Oh man, we want to get there before they get into the castle. Go baby. Nope, not going to be able to do it. It won't be too hard to trap these stupid Sturgian nobles. Meanwhile, we're going to go to their villages and give us your troops, right? These poor villages, they wouldn't have any boys left. It's not like all of a sudden a week later, and indeed we can't actually do it. Within a few days, though, generally, these villages, not a day, within like a week, generally they will have more villagers available for you. There's 1,000 now at Methodical Castle. So quite frankly, we're stalling for 2 reasons. First, our army's healing, right? Daniel's army, which is critical. His is the main army. We're healing, right? All his sharpshooters are banged up. They just had that bloody battle there. Some guys might go to a village. Sometimes you can heal a little bit faster. We're not really going to bother with that. I'm just going to run back and forth to these villages and tell them, give us your troops, right? Now here, I'm very happy to leave her as bait. Let's give her, doesn't matter too much. I want her to have enough troops so that after she's attacked, she still has the capacity to help us. But this is, and unfortunately, it's basically one of the faulty systems with Bannerlord. It's very easy to trap the enemy here. You just go like this, and then you just go like this, and the AI is like, oh shit, a tasty morsel. And right at the edge of the screen here, she gets attacked. They just line up for the slaughter here. In we go. She gets beat up a little bit, right? We lost some troops there. But all of these Sturgians that were defending that castle just get pounded into the dirt. they all get destroyed. I'm sure most of you fellas know this. A lot of you guys watching this episode have maybe caught 95% of the stuff that we've been passing along here. That's going to happen, right? There's no way I can possibly create content where every single thing is something new for you. The game is 3 years old, 4 years old, right? So there's a limit to new shit that I can teach you guys. But anything that I can teach you that I think will be helpful for you guys, we're going to do so. Now, I don't give a shit about that guy. They're starting to raid our shit here. They're starting to get angry. The Sturgeons are desperate now. Look at the Sturgeon situation. Oh, shit, I just realized this. How fascinating. You know, if you don't look at the whole map, this little tiny castle here. So I would bet money that there's a bunch of Sturgeons over here. And I would also bet money that Sturgeon or that Khazate forces will be heading to that castle, right? Unless they had peace and we didn't see it, right? I don't actually mind the Sturgeons keeping that castle. They can keep it. We don't want it. And they're still at war with the Khazate. So before too long, that castle is going to be sieged and the Sturgeons are going to be eliminated. Oops, I didn't realize that she's just taken off. Hopefully she does not get in combat because it'd be hard to rescue her this far away. This is what I want. One more of these little things here. We punch even more recruits. And we're going to do the old teaser trailer here, right? I learned this from TV. I'm going to stop this next process right before the siege, right? Why? Because I want you fellas to tune in to the next episode. We're going to have another episode next week, tomorrow, whatever it might be. And it will be the siege of Ustakal and then consolidation after that, right? Is there more to do here? We could definitely turn this game over to Daniel just after this, right? In fact, I didn't notice that the Sturgeons have Flinthold Castle too. They're sieging here, so maybe we still have to pop the Sturgeons in the nose a few times. I don't mind at this stage if somebody else attacks us, right? Like the Botanians or something like that. I don't mind more war at this stage because it's going to be more things to essentially help you guys with the challenges of Bannerlord. So we're going to siege this castle. Another monstrously difficult situation here. And it looks like the AI was listening, right? The Alexa of the gaming world was listening there. No problem at all. They say, we'll have war with you. So now we're at war with the Northern Empire. Doesn't make a huge amount of sense. They're going to have to travel quite a ways to get up there. But usually that means they have excess troops. Usually that means they have a very powerful kingdom. You can bet that the Northern Empire is going to be heading our direction. You can bet that there's going to be another episode. That basically ensures that there will be a part 3 here for Daniel and the rest of this Disasters of War series. So I'm actually going to break it off right here. We're going to save once we get these trebuchets built up. We will start episode 3 from that stage. And hopefully we can continue helping you fellas and Daniel solve your Disasters of War. So at this point, I'll say all the things I normally say, friends. You want to subscribe. Of course, if you want to see more from our channel is all about tactics and helping you in various ways dominate your game at Bannerlord. If you want to submit your difficult situation, the email should be in the video description. Please do so, although you want to include all kinds of details. Do you want your email shown? Do you want to be anonymous? You want me to not recruit Botanian units? Do you hate Botania? Are you racist? Right? You got to include these details in your video description. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of presume certain things, right? And you know what they say about assume, right? When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. With all that said, of course, you want to subscribe. If you want to see more from our channel, we're going to do plenty more tactics, playthroughs, the DLC, right? There's going to be all kinds of interesting things coming up. I appreciate you fellas. Please hit that like button on the way out. And with all that said, I will see you friends next time.